This isn't a police file. You won't find these names in any database. No FBI case numbers, no court records, no official investigation. This is a story that was meant to stay buried in the desert. A digital massacre that the law doesn't even know happened. There are only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. 10,000 of them vanished in 90 seconds. This is the only time in history a private army hunted across state lines to reclaim a fortune that technically doesn't exist. What you're about to hear shouldn't exist outside the Mojave, but it does. And now you're part of it. 3:47 a.m. Inside a repurposed silver mine, 17 server racks hum with Bitcoin mining operations. Then, silence. The guard on duty, Cade, perimeter shift, marks the camera feed glitch in his log. 2 seconds of static on camera 7. Routine interference, he writes. Likely dust on the sensor. His partner will initial the entry at shift change without verifying it. That signature will cost a man his life. What he doesn't log, the interference pattern matches military-grade signal jamming. The kind that costs $12,000 and requires specialized training to deploy. The kind that leaves a signature in the spectrum analysis logs, if anyone bothers to look. But no one is looking. Not yet. In that silence, data moves. Not physically, not visibly, but if you could see the packets traveling through fiber optic lines, you'd watch 10,000 Bitcoin bleed out of cold storage like a severed artery. Invisible, irreversible, gone in the time it takes to draw 3 breaths. 10,000 Bitcoin worth $640 million. Transferred before the backup generators even kick in. The Satoshi Syndicate built this operation to be untouchable. Ex-military contractors, desert survivalists, men who chose the Mojave, specifically because it sits outside the reach of federal jurisdiction and prying eyes. They mined their wealth from cryptographic puzzles, stored it behind biometric locks and air-gapped servers, and believed their isolation was their fortress. They were wrong. By sunrise, the forensic logs tell a story no one inside the mine wants to believe. The theft didn't come from some sophisticated zero-day exploit or a nation-state hacking team. It came from a phishing email sent to their propane supplier. One click, one compromised vendor credential, one open door into the VPN. But VPN access alone shouldn't have been enough. The cold storage servers were air-gapped, physically disconnected from the internet. No remote access, no network connection. The kind of security that requires someone to physically connect a device to transfer Bitcoin. Someone did, at exactly 3:47 a.m. A routine liquidity transfer scheduled for maintenance. Moving Bitcoin from cold storage to a hot wallet for operational liquidity. Standard procedure. Authorized by Cade, the head of perimeter security. A title that sounded important but paid like a guard position. The thieves didn't breach the air gap. They waited for someone to open it for them. And now, 5 IP addresses scattered across Texas suburbs. 5 men who thought anonymity meant safety. 5 targets who have no idea the hunt has already begun. Every second that passes, those Bitcoin are bleeding through tumblers and mixers, splitting into fragments across 1,000 addresses. In 72 hours, the trail goes cold forever. The question isn't whether they can find the thieves. It's whether they can reach them before the Bitcoin becomes untraceable ghosts in the blockchain. 5 IP addresses, 5 targets in Texas suburbs. The guard on duty had one job: verify before you sign. He didn't. At 7:32 a.m., that signature became a death sentence. He just didn't know it yet. 2 seconds of static on camera 7. The exact window the breach needed. The exact blind spot that let $640 million bleed out of cold storage. 3 hours after the theft is discovered, the forensic analyst pulls the footage, watches those 2 seconds frame by frame, realizes the interference wasn't dust. It was deliberate. A signal jammer, military grade, the kind that costs $12,000 and requires specialized training to deploy. The guard should have verified Cade's assessment, should have pulled the spectrum logs himself, should have done anything except initial routine interference without checking. The three brothers watch the footage in silence. The oldest speaks first. "Bring him in." The guard walks into the war room shortly after, still wearing his perimeter vest, radio clipped to his belt. No idea why he's been summoned until he sees their faces. The tablet gets turned toward him, shows the 2 seconds of static, shows the logbook entry he initialed, shows the spectrum analysis, proving the interference was a jammer, not environmental noise. You signed off on routine interference without verification. That interference cost us 10,000 Bitcoin. His voice cracks when he speaks. Cade logged it. I just initialed at shift change. I thought, you're trained to verify. That's why you're here. The conversation lasts 4 minutes. He tries to explain, his voice cracking on words that don't matter anymore. Tries to apologize to men who stopped listening 30 seconds in. Tries to offer to help track the thieves as compensation. The oldest brother looks at him the way you look at a computer displaying an error message. Not with anger, with the cold recognition that something is broken and needs to be replaced. We don't need your help. We need this to never happen again. At 7:32 a.m., they walk him to the mine's deepest shaft, the old silver vein that collapsed in 1924, 300 feet straight down, the kind of depth where sound doesn't carry and bodies don't surface. Picture the logbook on the security desk. Cade's entry, still visible in blue ink. Routine interference, likely dust on sensor. Below it, the partner's initials in the verification column. Below that, a new entry in different handwriting. Security breach, negligence confirmed, corrective action completed. The corrupted file has been deleted. The system is clean, but on camera 6, the one monitoring the access road 200 yards out, a black sedan with Nevada plates slows to 15 miles per hour, stays there for 43 seconds, then accelerates away. No one notices. The footage won't be reviewed for another 3 weeks. First deletion complete. 4 more targets. 7 more deletions to go. $640 million was bleeding across the blockchain. Every hour that passed, the money fragmented, splitting through tumblers, bouncing through mixers, dissolving into 1,000 wallets that would never be traced. The tracker had maybe 72 hours before the trail went cold forever. After that, the thieves would be ghosts. He pulled the packet headers and started hunting. Former Army intelligence, 15 years of SIGINT work. He knows what data exfiltration looks like. This wasn't a smash and grab. This was surgical. The timestamps don't lie. 90 seconds, 5 wallets, 5 precise transfers, each one routed through a different VPN endpoint, each one landing in a suburb he can pinpoint on a map. Plano, Katy, Round Rock, Austin, Houston. 5 addresses, 5 families eating dinner right now, watching TV, putting kids to bed, with no idea that a man in a desert bunker just drew crosshairs over their houses. He writes the addresses on a whiteboard in block letters. No hesitation, no second-guessing the forensics. The syndicate's Bitcoin didn't just vanish into the blockchain. It left a trail across fiber optic lines, through cell towers, into homes with 2-car garages and Nest cameras. Here's what they missed. In 2014, your home IP address was a GPS coordinate. Every time you connected to a cryptocurrency wallet, your ISP logged it. One login from your home network, that single connection was all it took. The tracker caps the marker. We leave in an hour. In 6 hours, the targets wake up. In 6 hours, panic sets in. In 6 hours, Bitcoin starts moving to cold storage addresses that can't be traced. The question isn't whether the syndicate can find them. The forensics already did that. It's whether they can reach them before fear turns 5 suburban homes into 5 empty driveways. The hunt begins. 4 days of silence. To the thieves, it felt like victory. They were wrong. The silence was the sound of crosshairs locking into place. 4 days while the tracker built dossiers from the fortress war room. 4 days of OSINT work, cross-referencing IP addresses with property records, Reddit usernames with Amazon wishlists, cell tower pings with daily routines. 4 days of mapping driveways through Google Street View and timing commutes through traffic cameras. By day 5, the intel was complete. 5 names, 5 addresses, 5 daily routines mapped down to Starbucks run times and school drop-off schedules. The Tahoe leaves the fortress at dawn on day 5. 11 hours to Plano if they push it. The tracker sits in the passenger seat, laptop balanced on his knees, reviewing files compiled over 4 days of surveillance. Behind him, 2 more men, ex-military, the kind who don't ask questions about destinations. The driver doesn't speak, just points the vehicle east and holds 75 on empty highway. The tracker doesn't need to read the file. He was there when they buried Marcus, the youngest brother, in 2011. Shaft collapse. They'd been digging out the first server room when the ceiling came down. Took 4 hours to recover the body. The 3 surviving brothers didn't cry. They just started reinforcing every tunnel with twice the steel. That was when the tracker understood what kind of men he was working for. The kind who respond to loss by building stronger walls. The kind who turn a silver mine into a fortress and a fortune into something worth killing for. Now 5 thieves had tested those walls, and the syndicate was driving across state lines to prove they should have picked a different target. The tracker glances at the notification. Target 1 just logged into his wallet. 6:47 a.m. The timestamp is live. Google Street View loads on the second monitor. There's the Tesla, parked exactly where it should be in the driveway. 2-story colonial at the end of a cul-de-sac. Recent Reddit posts about cryptocurrency visible in another browser tab. He's home. He's checking his balance, probably smiling at the number on his screen. 2,100 Bitcoin. Still there, still his. He has no idea that 4 hours away, a black Tahoe is doing 85 on I-10, and the men inside have already decided how he's going to die. The tracker pulls up the next profile while the connection is still active. Target 2, Katie, split-level ranch. Early nest cam broadcasting from the front porch. The device ID visible in the network logs confirms it. IT contractor. LinkedIn shows he's working from home this week. Another notification. Target 3 just connected. Round Rock. Single-story bungalow. High school teacher. The school district website lists his schedule. He'll be at work by 7:15 a.m., which means his house is empty during school hours. The forensic trail isn't just leading to their doors. It's showing when they're home, when they're vulnerable, when they're checking balances and thinking they're safe. Target 4, Austin. The wallet connection is bouncing through a VPN, but the credit card trail is clean. Gas station charges heading west. He's already running. The runner doesn't know running creates its own trail. Target 5, Houston. The coordinator. The one whose phone pinged the same cell towers as someone inside the fortress. That connection is still being analyzed, but the address is locked. Montrose apartment, 3rd floor. Coffee shops on every corner. He thinks crowds mean safety. They're about to learn otherwise. The 5. Faces behind the IPs. The 5 men holding $640 million in stolen Bitcoin had one thing in common. They were already dead. They just hadn't stopped breathing yet. Target 1, Plano, Texas. Reddit username Crypto Night TX. Link to Steam, link to Amazon wishlist with home address. Tesla in driveway. Complete ID in 4 minutes. 2,100 BTC. Target 2, Katy, Texas. Split-level ranch. Nest camera. Wife's Facebook shows geotagged vacation photos with visible house numbers. IT contractor. Working from home. 1,800 BTC. Target 3, Round Rock, Texas. High school history teacher. School district website. Same username on Bitcoin Talk forums. Posts about garage mining and solar panels. 1,600 BTC. Target 4, Austin to Vegas. Already running. Credit card trail from Austin to Vegas. Hotel check-in at the Luxor. Casino rewards card at 3 properties. Broadcasting location in real time. 2,200 BTC. Target 5, Houston, Texas. Craigslist ad from 2011. Computer repair services. Phone number that pinged the same cell towers as someone inside the fortress. The coordinator. 2,300 BTC. The tracker closes the laptop. They're 3 hours from Plano. Target 1 doesn't know they're coming. In 3 hours, he'll answer his doorbell, expecting a package. In 4 hours, he'll be transferring his fortune at gunpoint. In 5 hours, he'll be breathing diesel exhaust in a sealed garage, pounding on a window that won't break. But right now, he's checking Reddit, refreshing his balance, smiling at a number that's about to become 0. Day 5. 11 hours from the Mojave. The sun is setting over Plano when the Tahoe rolls into a subdivision where every house looks the same. Manicured lawns, 2-car garages, ring doorbells that won't capture what's about to happen. One of these houses contains $134 million. By morning, it will contain a body. Target 1 has been holding 2,100 Bitcoin for 6 days now. 6 days of checking his balance. 6 days of thinking silence means safety. He doesn't know the syndicate spent the first 4 days building his profile from the fortress before ever leaving the Mojave. The neighborhood is exactly what the Google Street View promised. Identical 2-story colonials. The kind of place where a Tesla doesn't raise eyebrows. Target 1's house sits at the end of a cul-de-sac. The Tesla is there. Model S. Midnight silver. The tracker notes the license plate through binoculars, runs it through a database on his phone, confirms the registration matches the name on the property tax records. They don't knock on the front door. Not yet. The surveillance starts immediately. One vehicle, a rental Tahoe, deliberately generic, parked 3 houses down with a clear sightline to the driveway. The tracker pulls up the target's Reddit history on a laptop balanced on the center console. The posting pattern is consistent. Active between 7 p.m. and midnight. Long gaps during work hours. The guy has a routine. Predictable, fatal. As evening settles in, the garage door rumbles open. Target 1 walks out in gym shorts and a t-shirt that says HODL in block letters. He's carrying a protein shaker bottle. 32 years old. Confident stride. No awareness that 2 men are watching him from a vehicle 3 houses away. He gets in the Tesla, door closing with that distinctive electric car thunk, and backs out without checking his mirrors. The Starbucks is 2 miles away. They watch him order through the drive-thru. Grande cold brew, no sweetener, paid with Apple Pay. The transaction logs in real time on the tracker's screen. Another data point. Another confirmation that this is someone who believes technology makes him untraceable. He drives back home, parks in the garage. The door closes behind him with a mechanical groan. The tracker checks his watch. Just after dark, the lights in the upstairs window go on. Home office. The tracker can see the glow of dual monitors through the blinds. Matching curved displays, RGB backlighting bleeding through the gaps. The target silhouette moves between screens. Reddit on the left, Blockchain Explorer on the right. Refreshing, scrolling. The posture of someone who thinks monitoring means control. They move an hour later. Two men. No masks. No weapons visible. They walk up the driveway like they belong there. Steady pace, casual posture. The body language of neighbors stopping by to borrow a ladder. The doorbell chimes inside, a two-note melody that echoes through the house. 30 seconds. Footsteps inside. The deadbolt clicks. Target 1 answers, wearing the same huddle shirt. His face shows confusion, not fear, not yet. He's expecting a delivery. Maybe a neighbor. Not this. Can I help you? The tracker holds up a printed screenshot. It shows a blockchain transaction. 10,000 Bitcoin moving from one address to 5 others. The timestamp reads 3:47 a.m. One of the destination addresses is highlighted in yellow. Target 1's face changes. The sequence is instant. Confusion becomes recognition. Recognition becomes calculation. Calculation becomes fear. I don't know what you're talking about. His voice cracks on the last word. His hand tightens on the doorframe. Your IP address is in our logs. Comcast Residential. Login timestamp 3:47 a.m. Your Reddit username is in our logs. CryptoNightTX. Linked to your Steam account. Linked to your Amazon wishlist with this exact shipping address. Your home network's MAC address is in our logs. We're not law enforcement. We're not here to arrest you. We're here to recover what you took. Target 1's eyes dart to the street. Empty. No neighbors outside. No Ring doorbells pointing this direction. He's calculating odds. Look, I can explain. There were 5 of us. I wasn't the one who planned it. I just provided some technical. We know. 5 wallets, 5 addresses. Yours held 2,100 Bitcoin, $134 million. We're not interested in explanations. We're interested in recovery. But I didn't initiate the breach. The coordinator, he's the one who... We'll get to him. Right now, we're here for what's in your ledger. You can transfer it voluntarily, or we can take other measures. Either way, the Bitcoin comes back to us tonight. Target 1 looks at their faces. No anger, no urgency, just certainty. The math is simple. The target understands it immediately. $640 million doesn't disappear quietly. The blockchain doesn't forget. And the men standing in his driveway aren't the type who call lawyers. Inside. Garage. The conversation that follows will last 11 minutes. By the end, $134 million will change hands. And Target 1 will have exactly 90 minutes left to live. The conversation moves to the garage, not because they force him, because he understands that arguing on the front porch means neighbors and Ring doorbells and complications that make everything worse. Picture the garage. Workbench, pegboard with tools, desk in the corner. The ledger wallet is exactly where the tracker thought it would be. Desk drawer, second from the top, right next to a passport and a stack of conference badges from Bitcoin meetups in Austin and San Francisco. Target 1's hands shake as he connects the device to his laptop. The USB cable clicks into place. The ledger small screen lights up, pale blue, low resolution. The 2014 era display that every early adopter trusted with their fortune. The screen shows the balance. 2,100 Bitcoin, $134 million. His breathing is shallow, rapid. He types in the PIN, 8 digits. His fingers slip twice, has to start over. The ledger beeps. A small electronic chirp, confirming the code. He navigates to the send function, enters the syndicate's recovery address, double-checks it. One wrong character, and the Bitcoin goes to a dead address, unrecoverable, gone forever. The transfer broadcasts. 12 minutes, 3 confirmations. 12 minutes later, the Bitcoin is back in the syndicate's wallet. The tracker unplugs the ledger, pockets it, looks at Target 1, who's still sitting in the gaming chair, staring at a laptop screen that now shows a zero balance. You don't talk about this. You don't post about it. You don't file a police report. You just take the loss and move on. Because if we see your name anywhere, any forum, any conference, any crypto space, we come back. And next time, we don't negotiate. They leave the same way they came. Walk down the driveway, get in the Tahoe, drive away at exactly the speed limit. 3 houses down, a black sedan with its headlights off watches them leave. A camera with a long lens captures the Tahoe's license plate. The shutter sound is inaudible from this distance. The photos upload to an encrypted server in Eastern Europe before the Tahoe reaches the end of the street. Target 1 stands in his garage for 11 minutes after they leave, staring at the ledger's empty screen, thinking about $134 million that existed in his wallet for 6 days. The tracker makes a call from the Tahoe. 2 words, stage it. They return 90 minutes later. 90 minutes. Long enough for Target 1 to process what just happened. Long enough for the adrenaline to fade and exhaustion to set in. Long enough for him to be sitting in that chair, staring at nothing, when they returned. Not panicked, not calling police, just empty. The garage door is still open. Target 1 is inside, sitting in his gaming chair, staring at the empty wallet screen. He doesn't hear them enter, doesn't realize what's happening until the rag goes over his face, soaked in chloroform, the kind that takes 30 seconds to work and leaves no trace in a standard autopsy. When he wakes, he's slumped in the driver's seat of his Tesla, engine running, garage door closed. The carbon monoxide detector has been disabled. Wires cut, battery removed. The kind of detail that looks like negligence instead of staging. The tracker watches through the garage door's window. Watches Target 1's eyes flutter open. Watches him realize where he is. Watches him try the door handle. Locked from the outside. Child safety engaged. The kind of feature that turns a luxury vehicle into a gas chamber. Target 1 pounds on the window. No sound escapes the sealed garage. The Tesla's electric motor runs silent. But the tracker had started the backup generator inside the garage. The one Target 1 kept in the corner. The kind of safety violation that happens when someone thinks they'll only run it during emergencies, never expecting the emergency to be their own death. Diesel exhaust filling the enclosed space. It takes 11 minutes, the same amount of time he'd spent staring at his empty wallet. The Plano Police Department arrives the next morning, day 6 of the breach. Neighbor called in a wellness check. Tesla running all night, garage door closed, no response to doorbell. The report lists it as suicide, 32-year-old male. Recent financial stress indicated by credit card statements showing unusual expenditure patterns. Carbon monoxide poisoning. The detector had been disabled. Battery removed, suggesting premeditation. No note. But the laptop on his desk showed his final Reddit post, time-stamped at 8:19 p.m. Hodl forever. 2,100 Bitcoin recovered. 7,900 still bleeding across Texas suburbs. Every hour that passes, the remaining targets get more paranoid, more desperate, more dangerous. The syndicate has 48 hours before fear turns into disappearance. Target 2 knows they're coming. 2 private security guards, 8-hour shifts, $115 million he's willing to defend. The question isn't whether the syndicate can overpower 2 guards. It's whether they're willing to create the kind of crime scene that brings real investigators. Fear doesn't just make people dangerous. It makes them witnesses. 2,100 Bitcoin recovered. 7,900 remaining. Target 2 is the only one who saw them coming. The only one who hired security. The only one who ran before they knocked. His deletion will be the most complicated of all, and the most costly for his family. Target 2 saw them coming. Not literally. He never spotted the black Tahoe parked 3 houses down, or the 2 men who'd been sitting in a Whataburger parking lot across from his subdivision entrance for the past 6 hours. But he felt it, the same way you feel someone watching you from across a room. His early generation Nest camera had logged motion events. 3 different vehicles slowing near his driveway over 2 days, back during days 3 and 4, when the syndicate was conducting remote surveillance through publicly available security cameras. The same pattern: slow roll, no turn signal, no obvious destination. He'd been monitoring his own security since the transfer completed. The Nest camera beside his front door wasn't sophisticated. 720p resolution, no facial recognition, a 5-second delay between motion detection and recording. But it was enough to create a digital log of every vehicle that didn't belong. He wasn't paranoid. He was paying attention. On a Thursday afternoon, soccer practice day, he made a decision. Packed a duffel bag, disconnected his Ledger wallet, left through the back door, walked to a neighbor's driveway where he'd parked his wife's Honda. By the time the syndicate arrived, the house was empty. The tracker notices immediately. No cars in the driveway, no lights on inside, no movement behind the windows. The tracker's assessment is immediate. Target anticipated contact, fled to secondary location. Wife and children maintain normal pattern of life. Target is monitoring remotely. They don't force entry. That evening, the wife's minivan pulls into the driveway. 2 kids spill out, backpacks dragging, soccer cleats in hand. The tracker watches through binoculars as she unlocks the front door, checks her phone, and freezes. She's pacing now, checking rooms, calling a number that goes straight to voicemail. She doesn't know her husband is 4 miles away, sitting in a Starbucks parking lot with $115 million on a device the size of a thumb drive. She doesn't know he's been sleeping in that car for 2 nights. She doesn't know that by tomorrow morning, she'll be a widow. The tracker watches her through the window. Watches her put the kids to bed alone. Watches her sit at the kitchen table, staring at her phone, waiting for a call that won't come until 3 a.m. when a police officer knocks on her door with news about a hit and run. Half an hour later, the laptop chimes. The target's Ledger wallet just connected to the internet. Not from the house, from a Starbucks 4 miles away. The connection lasts 90 seconds, just long enough to confirm that 1,800 Bitcoin, $115 million, is still there. A pin drops on the Starbucks location. 12 minutes if they leave now. But they don't move. The target just revealed his active monitoring pattern. Public Wi-Fi, short connection duration. Classic OPSEC from 2014 era guides. He thinks he's invisible. He's broadcasting. Target 2 just made a critical mistake. He revealed that he's watching his wallet. That means he's still in the area. Hasn't run to another state or tried to disappear into a major city. He's close, scared, monitoring his security from public Wi-Fi hotspots, thinking 90-second connections mean safety. A new browser tab opens. The Nest camera's cloud storage interface loads. 48 hours of footage scrolls back. The relevant moment appears at 11:20 p.m. 2 nights ago. The footage shows a figure walking from the back door to a neighbor's driveway, getting into a Honda Accord, driving away. Zoom on the license plate. Copy into the DMV database search. Registered to the target's wife. Silver Honda Accord, 2011 model. The vehicle is identified. The target is mobile but predictable. The public Wi-Fi pattern suggests he's checking his balance every 6 to 8 hours. Next check window, 12:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. He'll return to a different location. Starbucks, McDonald's, 24-hour coffee shop. Every public Wi-Fi within a 10-mile radius gets mapped, and they wait. Target 2 was somewhere within a 4-mile radius, checking his balance from public Wi-Fi. thinking 90-second connections meant safety. He didn't understand that every login was a ping. Every ping was a coordinate. Every coordinate was being logged by men who'd driven 11 hours to find him. The siege was working. And in 6 hours, when he pulled into that Starbucks parking lot for the last time, the Tahoe would be waiting 3 spaces over. The family man's last transaction, Target 2, made his decision on day 6 of the breach, after the Plano news started circulating in crypto forums as an unexplained suicide. After he realized the silence wasn't victory, it was the sound of a hunter closing distance. The laptop chimed in the early morning hours, his Ledger wallet connecting to Starbucks Wi-Fi. Not the one near his house, a different location, 4 miles out. The pattern was predictable. The tracker was already in the parking lot, had been there since midnight, watching, waiting. Target 2's wife's Honda pulled into the lot moments before. He parked in the back corner, away from the entrance, away from the overhead lights. The kind of spot someone chooses when they think they're being careful. He didn't see the black Tahoe 3 spaces over. The laptop screen glowed through his windshield. The tracker watched through binoculars as Target 2 navigated to his wallet, checked his balance for the 47th time in 6 days. 1,800 Bitcoin, $115 million. Still there, still his, still destroying his life, 1 hour at a time. Minutes later, Target 2's phone rang. The tracker watched him answer it, watched his face change. His wife, calling at 2 a.m. The conversation lasted 4 minutes. Target 2's shoulders slumped, the posture of surrender. But then something changed. He sat up straighter, started typing on his laptop, not navigating to his wallet, to an email client, an address the tracker didn't recognize from this distance through binoculars. The tracker watched Target 2's face shift from defeat to something else. Calculation. Like someone who just remembered a card he hadn't played yet. What was he sending? To whom? Insurance? Evidence? A dead man's switch that would trigger if he didn't check in. The email sent. Target 2 closed the browser tab, then opened his cryptocurrency wallet. At 2:31 a.m., he started the transfer. 1,800 Bitcoin moving to the Syndicate's recovery wallet. 9 minutes. 3 confirmations. Irreversible. Target 2 closed his laptop, sat in the Honda for another 6 minutes. The tracker watched him through the binoculars, watched him cry, watched him pull himself together, watched him start the engine. The tracker made a call. 2 words. Transfer confirmed. Target 2 put the Honda in reverse, backed out of the parking space. The Tahoe had been idling 3 spaces over for the past 2 hours. Now it moved. Target 2 never saw it coming. The Tahoe accelerated hard, 0 to 40 in the confined space of a parking lot. No brake lights, no warning. The impact was surgical. T-bone collision, driver's side. The exact angle that collapses the doorframe into the cabin. The crash happened at 2:41 a.m. The sound echoed across the empty lot. Metal on metal, glass shattering, the Honda spinning 90 degrees from the force. Witnesses, a Starbucks barista taking out trash, a night shift worker getting coffee, reported seeing a black SUV lose control and strike a silver Honda at the parking lot exit. The SUV's driver appeared to panic, fleeing the scene before police arrived. The impact was devastating. Driver's side door caved in completely. Target 2 died on impact. Blunt force trauma, internal bleeding. The kind of injuries that happen when a 5,700-pound vehicle hits a sedan at 40 miles per hour. The Tahoe disappeared into the pre-dawn darkness. No plates visible. They'd been removed before the strike. The witnesses couldn't identify make or model beyond large black SUV. The police report listed it as a hit and run. No plates captured. No surveillance footage from the parking lot cameras. They'd been offline for maintenance since Tuesday. The kind of tragic accident that happens when someone runs a stop sign at 2 in the morning. No one questioned why the victim had a laptop in his passenger seat. Why his browser history showed a cryptocurrency wallet last accessed at 2:31 a.m. Why the transaction logs showed $115 million leaving his account 8 minutes before he died. Because to the police, he was just another statistic. Another late-night accident in a Starbucks parking lot. Another victim of a hit-and-run driver who would never be found. Picture the Honda crushed against a light post. Driver's door crumpled, laptop screen shattered in the passenger seat. The ledger wallet still connected via USB cable. Its small screen displaying transaction complete. His wife received the call at 3:17 a.m. Officer at the door. The words that change everything. There's been an accident. She never knew about the Bitcoin. Never knew her husband had held $115 million for 6 days. Never knew the real reason he'd been sleeping in parking lots and checking his laptop at 2 a.m. She just knew he was gone, and that somehow, in those final days, he'd been running from something she'd never understand. The tracker sat in the Tahoe for 4 minutes before starting the engine. Didn't speak. Just stared at the Honda's crumpled door frame through the rearview mirror. Kids were in the soccer league, he said finally. Same age as my nephew. No one responded. There was nothing to say. The weight of what they'd just done sat in the vehicle like a fourth passenger. The wife would wake up tomorrow without a husband. 2 kids would grow up without a father. And somewhere in the blockchain, 1,800 Bitcoin had just changed hands, while a family's life shattered. 3,900 Bitcoin recovered. 6,100 remaining. 300 miles south, the teacher was about to negotiate. The teacher has been counting. 3,900 Bitcoin recovered. 2 of the 5 thieves eliminated. 6 days to study the pattern. And unlike the others, he's not running, he's not hiding, he's waiting on his front porch with a counteroffer. The question isn't whether the syndicate will negotiate, it's whether they honor deals with people who've seen their faces. Target 3 knew the syndicate's philosophy because he taught it. His high school history class covered the Silver Kings every semester. The claim jumper wars, the private posses that enforced frontier law when no government could reach that far. When the black Tahoe pulled into his driveway on a Saturday morning, he was sitting on his porch, waiting. I'll return 90%. 1,440 Bitcoin. You get 92 million back. I keep 160, 10% as a finder's fee for cooperating. Clean recovery, no complications. The tracker doesn't move. You're negotiating with stolen property. I'm offering you a clean recovery, no police, no complications. You walk away with $92 million you wouldn't have gotten if I'd moved it to cold storage yesterday. You could have moved it to cold storage, but you didn't, which means you knew we were coming. The teacher nods. I've been watching the pattern. 2 targets, 2 recoveries. I studied how you operate. I know what you value. Efficiency, clean extractions, minimal exposure. The tracker pulls out his phone. What makes you think we negotiate with thieves? Because I'm not running. I'm not hiding behind security guards or trying to disappear into Vegas casinos. I'm sitting on my front porch, offering you exactly what you came for, with a discount for cooperation. Clean exit, no complications. The tracker makes a call. Spoke to someone for 3 minutes. The teacher watches him, steady, not nervous. This isn't desperation. This is a calculated pitch from someone who's done his homework. The tracker hangs up. 90%, 1,440 Bitcoin. The remaining 160 stays with you as the cooperation fee. But if your name surfaces anywhere, any forum, any conference, any crypto space, the deal's void. The teacher extends his hand. Deal. They drove to the Whataburger parking lot on Highway 79. The teacher's hands were steady, as he connected his ledger wallet and entered his PIN. This wasn't fear. This was calculated negotiation. The transfer took 4 minutes. 1,440 Bitcoin moved to the syndicate's cold storage. $92 million recovered. The teacher stood up, extended his hand. The tracker looked at it for 3 seconds, then shook it. The teacher walked to his car, unlocked it, got in, started the engine. The tracker walked back to the Tahoe, got in, pulled out of the parking lot, drove east toward the highway. In the parking lot's far corner, a black sedan with Nevada plates idles. The same vehicle that appeared on the Fortress cameras 11 times in 3 weeks. The driver's window is down just enough for a camera lens to protrude. The shutter sound is inaudible from this distance. The teacher put his car in reverse, looked over his shoulder, tapped the brake. Nothing. The pedal sank to the floor like stepping into empty air. No resistance, no friction. Just the hydraulic hiss of fluid bleeding out of a line that had been intact 20 minutes ago. He understood in the half-second before impact. The handshake. The deal. The man who dropped his phone beside the car. It had all been theater. While the teacher transferred the Bitcoin inside, one of the men from the Tahoe had walked to his car, dropped his phone, bent down to retrieve it. 90 seconds under the vehicle. No one in the Whataburger noticed, or if they did, they saw a man checking his tire pressure. The brake line had been cut during the transfer. Professional work. Invisible in broad daylight. His car rolls backward into traffic. A semi-truck doing 55 doesn't have time to stop. The impact is catastrophic. The semi-driver climbs out, calls 911. I didn't see him. He just rolled into the lane. No brake lights. The police report lists it as mechanical failure. Brake line corroded. Tragic. Another traffic fatality on a Texas highway. The syndicate recovered his ledger from the wreckage. The remaining 160 Bitcoin transferred within the hour. 4,500 Bitcoin remaining. One target in the most documented city in America. But here's what the runner doesn't understand. In Vegas, perfect surveillance creates perfect alibis, as long as no one asks the right questions. The real threat isn't the cameras. It's who else is watching the watchers. 5,500 Bitcoin recovered. 4,500 remaining. But the syndicate had been operating on 2 fronts since day 1 of the hunt. While the tracker pursued targets across Texas, a second team handled internal cleanup. The thieves weren't the only ones who needed to be deleted. The door they walked through, someone had to close it. Day 3. The open port. Marcus Webb had never heard of the Satoshi Syndicate, had never owned a Bitcoin, had never done anything more dangerous than forget to update his antivirus software. He was 54 years old. He'd worked at Desert Propane Supply for 19 years. He had a coffee mug on his desk that said, "World's Best Grandpa," and a post-it note on his monitor that said, "Verify sender before clicking links." He clicked the wrong link 6 weeks before the heist. And 3 days before the teacher shook hands in that Whataburger parking lot, Marcus Webb was already dead. Invoice discrepancy. Action required. 1 letter off from the real domain. 1 click. 1 compromised credential that would eventually bleed $640 million through a VPN port that should have been closed months earlier. The forensic trail led directly to his desk. 6 weeks before the heist, he'd clicked the link. Credential compromise logged at 8:17 a.m. That window gave the thieves everything they needed. They just waited for the right moment to use it. The syndicate reviewed the logs in silence. The email wasn't random. It was targeted. Someone knew Marcus had VPN access. Someone knew his routine. Someone fed him the phishing link at exactly the right moment in the supply chain. But Marcus was still the entry point, the open port, the vulnerability that needed to be patched. The tracker made the call at 9:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Marcus was at his desk when they arrived. Same desk he'd sat at for 19 years. Family photos pinned to the cubicle wall. A coffee mug that said, "World's Best Grandpa." Routine. Two men walked into Desert Propane Supply mid-morning, dressed like vendor reps, clipboard in hand. The receptionist pointed them to his cubicle without checking ID. They walked through the office like they belonged there, past the water cooler, past the break room, straight to cubicle 17. Marcus looked up from his monitor. "Can I help you?" The tracker showed him a printed email, the phishing message, the one Marcus had clicked 6 weeks ago. The timestamp highlighted in yellow. "We need to talk about this." Marcus's face went pale. Recognition, then fear. "I didn't know. I thought it was legitimate. I reported it to IT after. We know. IT logged the incident, ran a security audit, found the VPN compromise. But by then, the damage was done." The conversation moved to the parking lot, not because they forced him, because Marcus understood that whatever this was, it shouldn't happen inside the office where his coworkers could hear. Picture the parking lot, Barstow heat shimmering off asphalt. Marcus standing beside his 15-year-old Camry. Two men in rental car generic clothing. No witnesses except security cameras pointed at the building entrance, not the far corner where they're standing. "You have to understand, I didn't mean to. I've been doing this job for 19 years. I've never. The port you opened cost us everything. We're here to close it." Marcus tried to explain, tried to apologize, tried to offer to testify, to help track whoever sent the email, to do anything that might fix what he'd broken. But the syndicate didn't need his help. They'd already recovered the Bitcoin, already hunted the thieves, already mapped the entire operation. They just needed to ensure the vulnerability never opened again. The coroner's report listed it as a heart attack. 54-year-old male, history of high blood pressure, found slumped against his vehicle in the Desert Propane Supply parking lot. No signs of trauma, no suspicious circumstances. The kind of death that happens to middle-aged men in desert heat. The autopsy never checked for the specific compound, never had a reason to, because Marcus Webb was just an office manager who clicked the wrong link. Picture the cubicle the next day. Desk cleared, photos of grandchildren taken down and packed in a cardboard box labeled personal effects. The coffee mug, "World's Best Grandpa," wrapped in newspaper so it won't break in transit. His coworkers will say he seemed fine that morning, happy even. He'd been talking about his granddaughter's birthday party that weekend. Below the desk, a post-it note still stuck to the monitor frame. "Verify sender before clicking links." He'd written it himself. A reminder that came 6 weeks too late. The entry point was closed on day 3. Marcus Webb would be buried 3 days before anyone realized the thieves he'd accidentally enabled were already dead. 2 parallel hunts, 8 total deletions, and no one connecting the dots. The external hunt continued. Target 4 thought crowds meant safety. He thought the chaos of the Las Vegas Strip, the tourists, the noise, the constant surveillance that somehow created anonymity through sheer volume, would hide him long enough to figure out his next move. He checked into the Luxor on a Tuesday afternoon. Paid with a credit card under his real name. Didn't understand that every swipe was a GPS coordinate. The syndicate tracked him through financial surveillance. Gas station in Austin at 7 a.m. Convenience store in Abilene at noon. Hotel check-in at the Luxor by 6 p.m. He wasn't hiding. He was just moving. And movement creates data. The runner had 2,200 Bitcoin sitting on a hardware drive he'd hidden in a casino locker. $141 million. He thought the locker was anonymous. He thought the key in his pocket was untraceable. The syndicate arrived in Vegas on a Tuesday afternoon. Casinos designed to disorient. No clocks, no windows, no sense of time passing. The runner thought this chaos would hide him, thought he could disappear into the crowd of bachelor parties and retirees feeding dollar bills into penny slots. But Vegas isn't chaos. It's the most surveilled square mile in America. Every slot machine has a camera. Every table has 3 angles. Every hallway, every elevator, every bathroom entrance, recorded in 4K and stored for 90 days. The syndicate wasn't hunting in the suburbs anymore. They were operating inside a surveillance state that made their fortress look primitive. And they were about to learn that in Vegas, everyone is watching everyone. He was broadcasting his location every 2 hours, and someone else was recording every move the syndicate made. His credit card history painted a perfect timeline. A psychological profile written in transaction codes. Slots at the Luxor between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Not gambling, just watching the entrance. Poker room at the Bellagio from 8 p.m. to midnight. Always the $2, $5 table in the back corner, back to the wall, eyes on the door. Breakfast at a diner on Fremont Street every morning at 9:30 a.m. Same booth, same order, he never finished. The pattern was so consistent, the tracker could set his watch by it. Routines are how you get caught. Every casino rewards card swipe logged his location with GPS precision. Every hand of poker he played got recorded by overhead cameras, the kind with resolution good enough to read the serial numbers on $100 bills. Every ATM withdrawal pinged the bank's fraud detection system. The tracker didn't need to hack anything. He just needed to read the data trail and wait for a pattern to emerge. The runner was a creature of habit, and habits are how you die in the desert. The locker was the weak point. Target 4 had rented it using his real name and a credit card. Picture the security camera feed. Grainy, overhead angle, locker number 217 in the Bellagio's guest services area. The rental agreement was public record. Basic operational security that the runner had ignored. But here's what he didn't understand. In Vegas, nothing is anonymous. The credit card he'd used to secure the deposit flagged him. High-value transaction. Unusual rental duration. No corresponding hotel reservation. The casino's fraud detection system marked him as suspicious activity. The tracker didn't even need to hack anything. He just needed to ask the right person. Former Army, same unit, same deployment. One phone call, locker 217, last accessed 7:47 a.m. $141 million sitting in a metal box. The runner checks on it twice a day, morning and evening, like clockwork. The security camera feeds show grainy footage. A man in a baseball cap and sunglasses, opening the locker, staring for 30 seconds, closing it, walking away. He isn't moving the Bitcoin, just confirming it still exists. The digital equivalent of a dragon sleeping on its hoard. The syndicate waits in the parking garage, watches the entrance, counts the minutes, maps his route. Always the same path, always the same pace, always looking over his shoulder, never seeing the threat. On day 4, he breaks pattern. Instead of 8 a.m., 6:45. Security coverage is thinnest. He walks faster, keeps looking back, the body language of doubt. He retrieves the drive. The camera shows him tucking it into his jacket, walking toward the bathrooms. 2,200 Bitcoin, $141 million. Enough to buy 400 houses. Enough to retire 50 families. The bathrooms had 4 stalls. The runner took the end stall. The door clicked shut. 2 men entered 30 seconds later. No weapons, no aggression, just normal. One washed his hands, one checked his phone. The runner sits on the toilet, laptop on his knees, drive connected. The screen shows the wallet. He's been checking it every 2 hours. What he doesn't know, outside the black sedan is recording everything. 2 men went in, 2 men came out. A toilet flushes, footsteps approach, the bathroom empties, the door swings shut. Then Silence. His hand freezes. We need to talk about your hardware wallet. His breathing accelerates. The stall isn't locked. He tries to stand. The door opens. I can split it, half and half. Nobody has to know. His voice cracked. The tracker paused. 70 million each. That's not how this works. But there was hesitation. You're thinking about it. You ran to the most surveilled city in America. I made mistakes. We're not here to negotiate. Then why did you pause? Silence. Transfer the Bitcoin. All of it. Now. The transfer took 4 minutes. His hands shook. The drive unlocked. The address was read out. Send it. First confirmation. Irreversible. 0.000000 BTC. The tracker pockets the drive. You thought crowds meant safety. The runner looks up. We're done, right? The tracker pulls a syringe. We are done. His eyes go wide. Too late. The needle goes in. Cardiac arrest. No pain, no struggle. The tracker positions the body. He washes his hands, adjusts his cap. 2 men walk out. The body is discovered 43 minutes later. The coroner lists cardiac arrest. The laptop is logged. No one checks it. Another statistic. Picture the stall. Yellow tape. Routine photos. Metro never pulls the footage because this isn't a homicide. In Vegas, cameras are everywhere. 4,700 in 2014, all archived. The runner thought chaos meant invisibility. It wasn't. It was total information awareness, and the syndicate walked into it. Every angle recorded them. But without a case, no one looks. 7,700 Bitcoin recovered. The hunter is about to become the hunted. But someone else had been watching. A security contractor. Former LVPD. He saw 3 men enter, 2 leave. He took photos. He saved them, sent a text. Sold, send files. Another transaction. The photos hit the dark web 6 days later. No context, just faces. The beginning of the mirror. But first, the tracker had to solve a puzzle, one that had been bothering him since the breach. 7,700 Bitcoin recovered. 4 targets eliminated. The external hunt is over. The tracker sat in the Tahoe, outside the Bellagio, at 3:47 a.m., running the numbers one more time. Something didn't add up. The breach was too clean, the timing too precise. The thieves knew exactly which port was open, exactly when the camera would glitch, exactly which vendor had VPN access. That level of operational intelligence doesn't come from a phishing email and lucky guessing. Someone fed them the blueprint. He pulled out his laptop, started pulling data he should have checked weeks ago. Not the target's phones this time, the syndicate's phones. Cell tower logs for every member, cross-referenced against the breach timeline, looking for patterns that shouldn't exist. And there it was. One phone. Multiple pings in the same area as Target 5's phone. Houston, Montrose District. 3 times over 6 weeks. Suspicious, but cell towers cover square miles. Could be coincidence, could be nothing. Then he pulled the Wi-Fi connection logs. Same coffee shop network. Montrose Coffee Co. guest. Same timestamp, 11:47 a.m., October 3rd. Same 47-minute session. 2 devices authenticated within 90 seconds of each other. Not the same area. The same table. The tracker stared at the screen. Felt something cold settle in his chest. The kind of cold that comes when you realize the threat isn't outside the walls. It's been sleeping in the bunk next to yours for 3 years. The phone belonged to Cade. The tracker stared at the screen for 11 seconds, then made a call. We have an internal problem. But first, there was the parking garage. The tracker walks toward the Tahoe in the dead of night, keys in hand. The adrenaline from the bathroom encounter still present, but fading. Behind him, Target 4's body sits in a stall that won't be discovered for another 40 minutes. He stops. 30 feet from the vehicle. Hand goes up. The military signal for hold position. The two men with him freeze. Don't ask why. They've learned to trust that signal. The tracker's eyes scan the parking level. Row after row of vehicles, fluorescent lights, more shadows than illumination. And there, 4 rows over, between an RV and a commercial van, a black sedan, engine off, windows tinted dark enough to violate Nevada law. Nevada plates that look wrong at 2 a.m. The sedan's angle is deliberate. Direct sightline to the Tahoe. Nose out for quick exit. Camera. The tracker says it quietly. His hand moves to his jacket. Not for a weapon. Just ready. The sedan doesn't move. Whoever's inside is watching. Calculating. 3 seconds of perfect stillness. The tracker could feel his pulse in his throat, the weight of the Glock against his ribs, the calculation, distance, reaction time. Who moves first? He'd been in firefights. He'd been in ambushes. But this was different. This was a mirror. Someone with his training, his discipline, his patience. Someone who'd been watching him hunt for 6 weeks. Then the sedan's engine turns over. Not panicked, smooth, professional. Headlights stay off. It backs out. The tracker moves toward it, not running, walking with purpose, the pace of a professional. The sedan shifts into drive. Still, no headlights. The tracker is 40 feet away when it accelerates. 0 to 40. Confined space. Headlights snap on. Blinding. Exit ramp. Through the windshield. Single occupant. Male. Caucasian. Baseball cap. Sunglasses at 2 a.m. Professional grade camera. Long lens. Passenger seat. The sedan takes the ramp at 50. Tires scream. Gone in 7 seconds. The tracker stands in the empty space. Looks at the tire marks. Recent. Dark. Takes photos. He walks back to the Tahoe. Doesn't speak. Gets in. Doesn't start the engine. 30 seconds. Processing. Someone's building a file. No one answers. They all understand. Someone had been inside the Bellagio, had watched them enter, had photographed them leaving, had positioned for escape, executed it perfectly. Professional surveillance, military discipline. The hunter realizes he is hunted, and the watcher is gone. 5 miles away, the sedan stops at a gas station. 47 photos uploaded, encrypted, backed up 3 times, permanent. Somewhere in a ProPublica inbox, an encrypted email sits unread. Bitcoin theft, dead man switch. 42 hours left. He never checks in. 7,700 Bitcoin recovered. 4 targets eliminated. The external hunt is over. But the syndicate is about to learn the truth. The breach wasn't a hack. It was a handoff. And the man who opened the door is standing inside the fortress right now. Cade was on perimeter duty, night shift, the same shift he'd volunteered for 300 times. The tracker walked out to the checkpoint with a tablet in his hand and an expression that said the conversation they were about to have had already been decided. No words, just a tablet showing 6 weeks of compiled evidence. Cell tower pings displayed as overlapping circles on a map of Houston. 3 instances where Cade's phone and Target 5's phone occupied the same geographic space at the same timestamp. Below that, access logs showing Cade's credentials approving the propane supplier's VPN route. His signature on the security audit that cleared the supplier's email system as low risk. The timestamps of his perimeter shifts cross-referenced with the exact moment the breach occurred. The evidence was clinical, irrefutable, the kind of SIGINT work the tracker had done for 15 years in places where one missed data point meant body bags. Cade looks at the screen for 11 seconds, then nods once. No denial, no excuses. How long have you known? 3 days. The voice is flat. What Cade doesn't know, While he's been standing perimeter duty for the past week, that black sedan has been documenting his shifts. Has photos of him walking the fence line. Has footage of him checking his phone every 43 minutes. Always at the same intervals. Always turning away from the fortress cameras. The surveillance pattern of someone coordinating with an outside contact. Someone else knows about the inside man, and they've been building their own case. We pulled the data after Vegas, started looking inward when the external hunt closed too clean. You volunteered for every perimeter shift, every propane delivery, every vendor portal approval. Pattern recognition. Same methodology we used on the targets. Cade hands back the tablet. They walk back to the war room together. The last walk they'll ever take side by side. The three founding brothers were waiting. The oldest brother spoke first. We trusted you with everything. The coordinates. The security protocols. You were family. Cade finally speaks. His voice is flat, resigned. Family that paid me the same as a perimeter guard while you three held 10,000 Bitcoin. Family that made decisions without asking. Family where I did the same work but never got the same equity. You were compensated fairly for your role. My role. Cade's voice hardens. I dug those server rooms. I installed those biometric locks. I walked perimeter through dust storms. When Bitcoin hit $64,000 per coin, I was still making $43,000 a year. The youngest brother steps forward. So you sold us out for a promise from some Houston coordinator. I sold out for 15% of what I helped build, $96 million. You earned a salary, a generous one. Generous. You know what's generous? Equity. Partnership. I wasn't family. I was hired security. And when someone offered me a cut that reflected my value, I took it. The oldest brother's voice goes cold. Did you think about what it would cost us? Everything you built was because I secured it. I just decided my cost was too high. Silence. The war room hums. The conversation lasted 11 minutes total. Target 5 had promised Cade 1,500 Bitcoin. The deal was simple. Cade provided the gaps. Target 5 executed the breach. But the syndicate didn't call the police. They handled their own justice. The walk to the mine shaft takes 4 minutes. This would be his last. You know what happens to corrupted files. At 4:37 a.m., they walked him to the shaft. Final perimeter check, the tracker said. Cade looked down. You could just exile me. We don't leave loose ends. The shot echoed once, then silence. Picture the entrance at dawn. Yellow tape, a padlock, a handwritten log, perimeter vulnerability corrected, system clean. Below, 2 bodies rest, both deleted, 2,300 Bitcoin remaining. The call came shortly after. Target 5. He's awake. He's checking his balance. He doesn't know Cade is dead. The tracker closed the file. One more deletion. They drove to Houston. Target 5 had 11 hours left. Target 5 stayed home. He had arrogance. He was checking his balance when the knock came. $147 million. He opened the door. 3 men stood there. We need to talk. He tried to close it. A boot blocked it. He stepped aside. Let them in. Wi-Fi logs. MAC addresses. Timestamps. Same network. Same table. Same apartment. Cade promised you 1,500 Bitcoin. You're not keeping any of it. I want immunity. You're transferring. All of it. The transfer took 6 minutes. 2,300 Bitcoin. 3 confirmations. There's a 6th wallet. 3 seconds of silence. Then you should have run faster. The syringe came out. The injection was quick. No struggle. He died on the couch. The apartment was searched. There was no switch. The coroner rate, natural causes. 10,000 Bitcoin recovered. 8 deletions complete. They thought it was over. They were wrong. The Vegas photos surfaced on a dark web forum 72 hours after the final recovery. Posted anonymously. No context. Just images with EXIF data strict. The tracker's face, clear as a passport photo. The realization hit like a gut punch. They've been documented. The syndicate pulled 3 weeks of perimeter footage from the fortress. Every vehicle reviewed. And there it was, the black sedan. 11 appearances, 3 weeks. Same vehicle, different plates, always watching. Here's the mathematics of 2014 surveillance. The syndicate tracked 5 targets across 800 miles. Credit cards, cell towers, cameras. But every technique could be reversed. Every motel, every gas station, every license plate. They thought they were hunters, but someone else was building a parallel case. Every deletion documented, every face cataloged, every location photographed. Nevada plates traced to budget rentals. Reno Tahoe Airport. Name on the paperwork, John Smith. Paid in cash. One frame stood out. Timestamp, 2:47 a.m. Camera 6. The window is down. Just enough to see his face. Male, Caucasian, mid-40s, military posture. The tracker ran the image everywhere. Military databases, law enforcement, private security, Interpol, FBI watch lists. No matches, nothing. They didn't know about the email. Not yet. Target 2 sent it 4 minutes before the transfer. Encrypted. To ProPublica. Subject line, Bitcoin theft, dead man's switch. It contained everything. Coordinates, names, photos, documents. One instruction. If I don't check in every 48 hours, publish this. The tracker wouldn't see it until 2016. By then, it would be too late. The brothers entered the war room. Every method they'd used could now be used on them. They upgraded everything. 47 new cameras, thermal imaging, motion sensors, facial recognition. The perimeter doubled. Guard shifts randomized. The fortress became a landmark, a target. 10,000 Bitcoin recovered, 8 deletions in 6 weeks. All ruled accidents. All ruled natural causes. Mine shafts, parking lots, casino bathrooms, coroner reports, files closed. The system was clean, but anonymity was gone. The fortress stands. Cameras watching empty desert. The brothers rotate shifts, never sleeping together, never trusting anyone else. But at 3 a.m., they stare at monitors and think about one thing. Somewhere out there, a black sedan, still driving, a hard drive, still filling, a database, still growing. 8 faces, 8 timestamps, 8 deaths. They recovered 10,000 Bitcoin. They closed every vulnerability, except one. They can't delete the watcher. They don't know who he is, don't know what he wants, don't know when the photos will surface, or where, or for how much. The only certainty, someone else has the evidence. And the hunt never ends. Final words. This story doesn't exist. But the blockchain remembers everything. And now, so do you. In 2014, metadata was primitive. Credit cards, cell towers, Reddit accounts. That window is gone. These techniques can't be repeated. A digital massacre between emergence and awareness. What happened in 2014 can't happen again. The fortress still stands. Cameras never sleep. 8 bodies, 10,000 Bitcoin, 1 unanswered question. Who drove the black sedan? Photos surfaced in 2015. No facial recognition hits. No rental records. No surveillance footage. Just a forged signature. Someone documented everything. Someone knows where the bodies are buried. In 2016, 2 things happened. The IRS arrived with blockchain forensics. Target 2 switch triggered. The ProPublica email opened. Coordinates, Names, photos, documents. 412 missed check-ins. The fortress exposed. The accounting trail revealed. The hunter moved. That story is for another time. This is Digital Murders. In the blockchain, everything is permanent. Every transaction, every theft, every deletion, every trace. The only question is, who's hunting next?